Good morning, everyone. We'd like to welcome you to the Southern Nevada Health District Board of Health meeting on July 23rd, 2026, 9 a.m. Call this meeting to order, and I'd like to ask Andrea to help us with the roll call, please.
Member Becker?
Here.
Chair Black?
Here.
Member Bond?
Present.
Member Bruni? Member Gallo?
Here.
Member Hardy?
Here.
Member Kirkpatrick?
Here.
Member Larson?
Here.
Member Nemec?
Here.
Member Nielsen?
Here.
And Member Summers Armstrong.
Present.
We do have quorum.
All right, thank you so much. If you would join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Chair Black, Member Bruni has joined the meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we will go to item number 3 on our agenda, oath of office. If you recall, last month we appointed 3 at-large members to the Board of Health, and at this time we would like to make it official by doing the oath of office, and Andrea will be helping us with that.
So if Member Nielsen and Member Nemec can stand, and Member Bond, she's virtual. If you can raise your right hand. I, please state your name,
I, Babette Bond,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and government
and the Constitution and government
of the state of Nevada
of the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith,
and that I will bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
allegiance, and loyalty to the same,
any ordinance, resolution, or any law
any ordinance, resolution, or any law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
all the duties of a member
all the duties of a member
of the Southern Nevada District Board of Health,
of the Southern Nevada District Board of Health,
on which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Let's hear for our new reappointed board members. We're very grateful for your service and your perspective on this board as we deal with very important matters related to public health in our community. So thank you for bringing your volunteerism and your expertise to the board. Now we will go to item number 4 on our agenda, which is recognitions. Each month we have the opportunity to brag about the amazing people that work at the health district and recognize the good work that they do. And this month we have the opportunity to recognize 2 individuals who are being acknowledged this month as our employees of the month. And so we would like to recognize the following individuals. We would like to recognize Gina Fernandez, community health worker, and Jacqueline Marino, also a community health worker, both in the Community Health Center division. Each month we recognize those that go above and beyond for the health district and our community and that best represent our CARES values. And so as the Board of Health, we would like to recognize and thank these individuals for their commitment to our community and to their jobs. And let's give them a round of applause. So is Gina and Jacqueline here? Will they stand up so we can stare at you and tell you how awesome you are? All right, so let's go over here, board, and we'll take a photograph with these 2 awesome individuals. Please.
This is a tight squeeze here. The chairs are bigger than us. It'd be 1:15.
All right, now we will go to item number 5, first public comment, a period devoted to comments by the general public about those items appearing on the agenda. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Please clearly state and spell your name for the record. And welcome, good morning. I'm not sure the microphone's on. There we go.
Good morning. My name is Regina Ellis, and I'm here on behalf of SEIU and SNHD. And I wanted to just let you know that I'll be retiring next week. And I wanted to come say thank you to all of you. On behalf of SEIU and the employees here, we've had a long history together. And we've worked through a lot of hard times together. I want to thank you for your work and your collaboration with us. And I also want to thank Dr. Lockett for being a humanitarian. He's worked with us, collaborated with us. We've gone through a lot together. And I just want to let you know that's really a character that we really respect. And I just want to let you know that I'm saying goodbye for now, and hope to see you all in the community.
Anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Congratulations on your retirement, and it's been awesome to get to know you over the years and really admire your advocacy and your passion for the work, but also for the people that do the work, and it's very identifiable. And so congratulations and best wishes to you in your retirement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we will go to item number 6, adoption of the July 23rd, 2026 agenda. Are there any comments or questions about the agenda? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, that passes. Number 7, consent agenda, which consists of 4 individual items that can be considered by one motion. Are there any comments or questions regarding the consent agenda from the board? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposition? Hearing none, that passes. Now we'll go to item number 8 on our agenda, public hearing action. Number 1, variance request to replace part of an existing septic system, SNHD permit number 9564, located at 5785 North TP, Las Vegas, Nevada 89149, which is currently encroaching on neighboring property. We'll open up this item with our staff, and it looks like we have a representative or the applicant here. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Dan Eisler, Environmental Health Engineering Supervisor. Here with
John DeWolf, Environmental Health Engineer.
Sergey Levchenko, homeowner.
So this is a variance for 5785 North TP Lane, which this septic system, specifically the leach field, is encroaching on the north property. So how this happened, the septic system was installed in 1980. 1994, the property was split through a record of survey. That caused the new property line to cross through the northern, 1.5 foot or so of the leach field. So the variance is to move part of the leach field south of the property line, so that falls within the 10-foot setback requirement. So this property receives its water from a well, and the petitioners did some water quality testing for bacteria and nitrate. Nothing that came back that indicated any contamination issue. So the variance is really to obtain a permit to construct within 400 feet of a sewer line. So the city of Las Vegas has a sewer connection point about 330 feet south of the property. So, according to our regulations, they would not be eligible for a permit to install or alter or modify their leach field. And because our regulations state that staff will not recommend variance approval for septic systems on lots where a municipal sewer is gravity accessible within 400 feet of the property line, we are not recommending approval of the variance, but if the board does decide to approve the variance, we recommend the following conditions. So if they become legally required and gravity flow is possible, then they will have to connect to the City of Las Vegas sewer. They will have to construct the new portion of the leach field within 1 year. And also, before they finalize construction, they'll have to address all other compliance issues, which includes concrete over a portion of the leach field and possibly a couple trees within the footprint of the leach field.
Thank you. Before we open up the public hearing, do you have any comments, sir?
Yes, thank you so much for hearing us out. So basically, we're just asking for permission to bring it to code because we as homeowners were shocked when we found out that it was not constructed to code, and we spoke to the neighbor. He said he would even be okay if it crosses his, because it was his former house that he sold to us. He was even fine with us having a portion of the leach field on his land. He said, I will sign anything, I will agree to anything. He does feel bad, and I think he's being sincere. And one thing that I should add is we did get estimates of how much it would cost to connect to the city sewer, and the cost is really just simply prohibitive. One company told us it's going to be $216,000, and the other company told us it's going to be $213,000 just for us to be able to have a sewer and then use the house. So we just really don't know what to do. We thought that we can just repair, and I understand that the neighbor doesn't, I mean, the former owner of the house does not want to bear the cost of fixing it. He said that he did not put it on disclosures because he simply did not know about this condition. So we are in a really bad situation where we're faced with either spending over 200 grand to connect to sewer, or hopefully just simply swallowing the cost of fixing the existing sewer that we have, especially that it does comply mostly. We just need to move a couple branches. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing item. At this time, I'll open the public hearing if there are any individuals in the audience that would like to speak on this agenda item. Seeing no one coming forward, close the public hearing, and I'll turn it over to the board for any comments or questions. Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
I have a question. Dan, did you say that they had a well?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I'm always sensitive to well owners because the law that was even passed does not require them because they're not getting water from the Colorado River. So the only thing I ever worry about is the water quality, which you said is good. But let me ask this. How do you move a leach field? He just has to take out some stuff in order to have that setback, or what?
So the way it is laid out, there are 4 distribution lines running east to west, and the northern one is the one that's encroaching on the northern property. So that line would just be abandoned, and then they would put a new one south of the other existing lines. So it'd be in effect moving that northern line down, but it would be a new piece of pipe and gravel and stuff. Wouldn't actually physically move.
And can I ask this question? Do we, because he's in unincorporated Clark County, correct? So do we tell them when they come before us with the waiver that unincorporated Clark County as well as the water district has a program? If at such time there's a groundwater program for wells, if you convert your well, where they pay up to 85%. There's a program in Clark County where we just funded sewer connections at 100% cost, as well as the water district. Do we share that information? I had to beat up North Las Vegas recently because they were just telling people it's sewer or nothing, and that was not the case. So I just wonder if we're sharing that information, because as they go out and get these quotes, it's overwhelming, right? But we need to, do I need to make a one pager so that it's easy for you guys?
We do tell people about those programs, though in a case like this where I think it would be unlikely that the county would foot, the entire bill for one house to connect, $200 and some $1,000. That in this case, I wouldn't suggest that as a possibility, but if it more feasible cases, then yes.
I would let the applicant decide. I wouldn't pick and choose. I would just give it as a protocol, and that's my opinion, and then let the applicant decide if they pursue other paths. Yeah, I mean that's just my feedback on that.
All right.
Other comments or questions for our staff or the applicant? Oh yeah, hi April.
I would just move to approve the waiver with the conditions that the health department has disclosed.
We have a motion. We have a motion in 2 seconds. We got a lot of support here. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you for coming forward today.
Thank you so much.
Our staff for working through this with the gentleman. All right.
Thank you.
Now we will go to number 9, receive, discuss, and approve the officers, chair, vice chair, and secretary of the Southern Nevada Health District Board of Health for a one-year term beginning July 1st, 2026.
Currently, the board chair is Scott Black, with the vice chair being Frank Nemec and the secretary being Dr. Joe Hardy. We have a couple of nominations that we have submitted, which Andrea's placed up on the screen, if you would like to consider and have any discussion.
Okay, thank you. Would we contemplate doing them one at a time or all three at the same time? What's the best method?
However you see fit, if there's a panel that you would like to present, someone can present the panel as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if there's no other nominations, I'm prepared to make a motion, and I'd like to just do them all three at once and be done with it.
Okay.
I'm frustrated, and I'm going to speak my piece. We have all these subcommittees for a reason, and I'm growing tired of people not having a quorum to come to them. I move everything around because that's why we have the subcommittee meeting, so that we can discuss it all, so that we can get to the other business of the health district. And, I'm growing tired of not having quorums. This is the second time on this particular committee, so people need to evaluate if they want to be on it or not. And look, every board member is always interested in attending, but if you're a voting member, and we can't do anything if you can't make it, right? So I'm going to say my piece, but I'm happy to make a motion now, so I won't be quite as scrappy.
Okay. I don't see anyone. Dr. Hardy. Yes, sir. Go ahead. When the
Right.
light's green, it's on. So push the button one more time. It illuminates green.
So looking at the quality of people who are nominated for chair, I dearly love either one of those to be the chair and me not be the chair. So that may make it a little easier in that decision.
I don't want to be the chair either, so.
Last man standing.
Ouch. I'm actually sitting. I'm actually
Doc
sitting. So.
Hardy and I both take our names out. Thank you for the nomination. Not interested. So with that, I'd make a motion to approve Scott Black, Frank Nemec, and Nancy Bruni as the slate for the officers.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any
Aye.
opposition?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. Number 2, receive, discuss, and approve the officers, chair and vice chair of the Public Health Advisory Board for a one-year term beginning July 1st, 2026. Heather.
Thank you. The current chair is Kenneth Osgood, with the vice chair being Susan Van Buge. We've had a number of nominations, but it is up to the board to decide who they would like to have as the chair and the vice chair.
Open to the board for any comments or a motion. Any comments, questions, or a motion?
Mr. Chair, if there's no other nominations or discussion, I would move to have Kenneth Osgood as the chair and Susan Van Big as the vice chair. And again, my conversation goes to if the nominating committee would meet, it'd be a lot easier.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 That passes. Thank you. Now we will go to board report. Southern Nevada Health District Board of Health members may identify and comment on health district related issues. Comments made by individual board members during this portion of the agenda will not be acted upon by the Southern Nevada Health District Board of Health unless the subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. I'll turn it over to the board for any emerging issues, items that you would like to have discussed at future meetings as agendized items. Commissioner Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. I have two. So one, I would like at the next meeting an update on the the encatchment area regulations. What is the time frame? What does that look like? And then two, I brought it up at the county commission this week. It would be helpful, and Jennifer always does such a good job, but I don't know that everybody at the county knows who to reach out to. If you guys could send us like a blurb on topics once a month so we can put them in our newsletter. You always do such a good job, Jennifer. And sometimes I get frustrated that I have to go find it for them because it's on the website. But if it, in your spare time, if you could send us, because people are asking a lot about this new thing that's out there, 2 cases, are asking about mosquitoes, and I know we're going to have a presentation on it, but as I said, Commissioner Becker will agree, it's only a 1 cap full of standing water that created a lot of problems. I think that you've taught me that over the years, right? So if we had a little blurb that we could share, I'd be happy to share that. So it goes in everybody's newsletter. Every month we have something that's significant.
Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Chair. Whoa. I concur. I receive notices often with updates with information from the health district, but it's always in the form of a it's like a press release, and press releases don't go over well in newsletters. So if you could help us with some of the things that are easily palatable for the community and put them in flyer form and send them. We send out a newsletter from Ward 5 every week. And so if you have information about vaccinations, what's going on with the mosquitoes, as my colleague said, and any other things, if you could put them in flyer form, it's easier for us to get it out and palatable for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman
It would
Larson.
also help for anything for Henderson, because sometimes we're a little bit different, so that I can share that same information, please. Thank you.
Yes.
I have one more thing. So littering has been a big issue across the board, whether it's the landscape company dumping everything. There is a legislator that is bringing legislation on the littering. So if we could get with that person sooner rather than later, because it becomes a public works issue for all of us, or code enforcement. So then we go out and having to clean it up. But I'd like to see the school district talk to the kids all the way up to Earth Day about the importance of not throwing that water bottle out, or, mom and dad not dumping the couch in the desert, right? So, but I do know that there's some legislation coming that could be perceived as pretty egregious, but I'm okay with egregious if it stops the problem, because you have your trash bill and you're entitled to free dumping. You just got to go there. So,
Are there any comments, emerging items for board members that have joined us virtually today? Hearing none, we will move on now to number 11, Health Officer and Staff Reports. And we'll turn it over to Dr. Lockett.
Okay, so looks like we have some time, so which is always good for me. So I'll take a little bit more time than I have planned then. So the first thing, you have my written report. Second, I wanted to briefly update you on the cyclosporiasis outbreak that the Southern Nevada Health District is monitoring. I know it's been a lot of different articles across the country on the news, and it's kind of confusing. So I'll try and clarify a little bit. So cyclosporiasis is caused by the microscopic parasite known as Cyclospora. It's really an environmental epidemiology problem is really what it is. And it's the name of it describes itself, right? It's telling you what it is. Cyclo for circle and spora because it's a spore, okay? So it's approximately between 8 and 10 micrometers in length. So that's about the size of a red blood cell, just to kind of give you an idea into when we say microscopic, how small it might be. So let's just say you are on a farm, right? And you're on a farm and there's not enough bathrooms around, right? And so you actually relieve yourself in the field, and then it gets into the irrigation system. At that point, it's not infectious. That's what they call an unsporulated version of the organism that got into the so-called food supply and irrigated, but it has to sit around for a while, up to 2 weeks, maybe even longer, before it goes into its sporulated form. Once it does that, this what they call oocyte, which looks like an egg actually, and it has a hard shell and it's sticky, so it'll stick on produce and it'll stay there. Good luck trying to wash it off. Good luck trying to get it off the surface, right? But it is heat liable, so you can cook it and denature the protein so it gets destroyed, right? So with that said, once it sticks and you end up ingesting that product or water from that product, then it goes through a whole infectious phase because it's a spore. So when you ingest the spore, it actually survives your stomach acid. And then it gets into your duodenum, ileum, jejunum, and the small intestines. And then it sticks to the epithelial cells in your small intestines. The bile acids kind of open up the oocytes and releases tiny cells. Sporozoites is what they're called, about 4 of them. They then do their magic. They proliferate, they reproduce, they cause all the symptoms you don't want to have, right? The gas, the explosive diarrhea, the discomfort for weeks, right? Nobody wants any of that stuff, but that's pretty much how it works. So in Clark County, Southern Nevada, as you heard, we have 2 confirmed domestically acquired cases associated with travel to 2 or more states in the Midwest, where most of the cases are occurring. Clark County is not experiencing an increase ourselves. We're at endemic levels right now. We get between 0 to 9 cases a year. And so what that means is most of those that we do get, most of those are associated with international travel. However, the SNHD Acute Communicable Disease Control Team, they do an excellent job, and they're continuing to monitor for domestically acquired cases and encourage preventative measures as usual, that you've probably seen in the press releases. And so if you are traveling to any of the affected areas, we definitely recommend following all those food safety practices, water practices, thoroughly washing, pre-bag lettuce and produce, including scrubbing if necessary. And of course, cooking is effective, especially bringing the temperature up to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a safe option, especially for anyone who may be immunocompromised, especially if you're, for example, co-infected with tuberculosis or HIV, AIDS, over the age of 65, or if you're pregnant. Important you do that if you're traveling. Also, if you're traveling to the Midwest, would highly recommend that you not consume shredded lettuce. That would be my recommendation there. So how big is this outbreak? No one knows, to be honest with you. I don't want to have a Fauci moment and tell you how big it is right now and then go back and tell you a different story. Okay, I don't want to do that here. What we do know is right now, CDC is reporting 4,173 confirmed cases and 308 hospitalizations, while the Midwest alone is reporting nearly 10,000 confirmed and probable. So right now, I can't tell you if it's reduction of resources within FDA, within the CDC, but we haven't had the routine phone calls. The infrastructure is not there for reporting. So there is some misalignment with the national numbers that has caused a lot of confusion, just to be honest there. However, our team, what they do is they get a hold of hypothesis generating questionnaires. And of course, the 27 states that are implicated right now, they also receive those hypothesis generating questionnaires. So how, and that questionnaire helped us identify Taylor Farms as the suspect product line. And that's because they asked questions, and 90% of those questionnaires from hundreds of people basically said Taco Bell. And then what they did is they did an ingredient analysis, and they said, oh, Taco Bell, let's do the ingredient analysis. And guess what? We looked at the shipping documents, the purchase orders, the invoices, and they traced it all back to Taylor Farms. So we talk about a false positive, more confusion in the news, right? Oh, it's false positive. It's not really there. No, Taylor Farms distributes about 1% of all shredded lettuce products in the United States. However, 90% of the people on that hypothesis generating questionnaire, 100 people pointed to the shredded lettuce in Taco Bell traced back to Taylor Farms. So just to clarify, it really didn't matter if the test was false positive or not. It's already a really strong association. But if that false positive was positive, it would have been very, very interesting because that came from a different batch, not the recall batch. So then it would have been a brand new recall at the FDA if that was positive. So there's a lot of confusion out there. But the one thing I want to bring to this board is that your experts are here. That's the Acute Communicable Disease Control Team. They do this every day for a living. And they're the ones who are closest to the ground on these investigations. So if you see anything media related in our community, they're going to be the most credible source with the most credible, close to home information for the community to process and learn from. So I'll stop there, and any questions?
I would just say last evening, Kimberly Franich was on the news talking about this, and she did a really, really good job articulating with clarity what really is going on and how to remediate it as a consumer. She did a really good job. They kept showing, whoever the news reporter was kept showing flushing toilets, which was weird, but the reporting part of it from Kimberly was perfect. So
flushing toilets.
Dr. Nemec.
Thank you, Dr. Lockett. My question has to do with how is this getting diagnosed in the first place? Most ERs aren't testing for cyclospora in a patient with the diarrheal syndrome or nausea or vomiting. And, of course, as a gastroenterologist, we usually see this later if the patient fails to resolve. And it's usually not part of any routine screening on stool studies. So how is this getting diagnosed in the first place?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Actually, any kind of panel or testing that's done, you have to request for it to include cyclospora. If you don't, it won't pick it up.
Thank you.
So does that mean that there could be other cases that we don't know about because the doctor who is treating them didn't specifically ask for that test?
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of cases out there. Underreporting is always the case. For example, in any outbreak of salmonella, which also causes acute gastroenteritis in a different way though, up to 32 cases are unreported. So we always deal with underreporting. We're dealing with it now. We don't know actually how big this outbreak is. Obviously, in fact, today I learned of a new cluster of 75 additional cases in the state of Michigan not associated with Taylor Farms. So it's just continuing to, get interesting. But I can't tell you if this outbreak is over because the product was consumed, 3-4 weeks ago. I don't know. So I think there's a lack of resources and infrastructure, again, at the federal level to respond swiftly to these investigations and do a real thorough job. But I think we would have had a better handle on the number of cases if we had the infrastructure and the staffing and the coordination at the federal level to do that. But yes, there's always underreporting.
It's amazing. You don't know when you need it until it's gone. And I think we're seeing on a national level, I'm not going to hold back. I just think that we've gutted some very important departments on the federal government that we just assumed didn't have a significant role because, well, they were doing their job and getting stuff done. And now that they're gone, we're seeing what their value was. They had just become a well-oiled machine. And now that they're gone, we're seeing the crisis. And this is really, really sad because we got weeks into this before we got some answers, and now more clusters are happening. So I think that there's some intersection with a lot of what we have seen with our cuts federally that are now starting to show up. And I'm just hopeful that they'll notice and recognize that we need structure nationally.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Very important. Okay, so next up, I'll call Kevin to give an overview of the procurement process.
Good morning.
Okay, and this is going to advance. Okay, so my name is Kevin Bratcher. I'm the procurement specialist in the Department of Finance. I have one of two staff people in the department. Diane Haddix, the purchasing agent, is sitting back there. Together we process about 2,300 purchase requests a year. She does most of that. I'm her backup. The PR process begins simply with the department identifying something that they need, a good or service. The cost of the good or service is going to depend or determine rather the level of competition that's required. If it's a formal bid, I have a separate, she's told me about this first thing. And then I don't. Andrea, could you just come and do this for me, please? That would be great. Can you? Perfect. Yes, then I don't have to do it. So if it's a formal bid, there's a separate slide for that. But if it's an informal bid, the department really is just able to identify the suppliers the vendors that will supply whatever good or service that they need. And they obtain the required number of quotes based on the cost. They compare those quotes and determine the lowest cost because we are based on the lowest cost for the purchase. The department creates a purchase request in Finance Enterprise, attaches all the documents, and approves it. Purchasing, primarily Diane, will get the purchase request. She reviews the quotes, makes sure that they're reasonable, apples to apples, ensures that there are no issues, and she approves the purchase request, thereby issuing a purchase order. And we processed fiscal year 26, there were about $47 million in purchase orders. That's the encumbered side. The contract process, thank you. Just now I got it and I don't need it. The contract-related purchase process is basically the same. It begins with the department identifying something that they need. Again, the cost determines the level of competition required. Formal bid, there's a separate slide for that. They identify the suppliers, and in this case, they do the same thing. They examine the quotes and identify the lowest price, make sure that that they are the same product, that the suppliers are quoting the same product, and then they send it to me. I approve the purchase, the materials, make sure that the quotes that we got are reasonable, that it is the lowest price, that we've done what we're supposed to do, and then I authorize them to enter the contract request into Agiloft, which is our contract management software. So if there's a formal bid for goods or services, Diane is going to do that. She handles those. Those are entered in NGIM, the Nevada Government e-Marketplace. The department prepares the bid request form and the specifications and provides it to Diane. She reviews the bid specifications. She will check to see if we have done a bid recently. If we have done a bid within a reasonable amount of time, less than 90 days, we might use that same bid if the supplier will agree to it. Otherwise, we might look for group purchasing organizations if there are other contracts that we can piggyback off of.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
You're going so fast, and I know it's not a fast process. And don't be nervous, because we're just curious, asking questions. So maybe you could go back to like the contract bids and give us some examples of what those items may be, right? So there are some things that are allowed within 332 that allow you to bypass certain things or do a sole provider or even piggyback onto the state or the county things. And I think, at least for the rest of the board, I think if you gave some examples of what type of some of those items may be, because, even with specifications and all that, there are reasons, right? So let's just say in the lab, we have a certain machine. We can't just buy any filters, right? We have to buy this kind of filter. And because we're a special kind of lab, we even got to have this. So maybe you could just give some examples as you go through to like, when those contracts would come about. And sometimes it's even that we're on a 5-year plan, right? I remember when we did the FQHC, it was a little bit each time that we had a plan in our head on how we would purchase that stuff. So I think that would be helpful for everybody to know, because what we find today is a lot of smaller businesses want to know why they can't bid. And I always tell them, first of all, you got to find a big fish to bid with, because government is a slow pay, first and foremost. Number one is nobody's fault, but that's just our process, because we got to check, triple check, and go through a process, have 900 people sign a check, and then we can put it in the mail or wire it. But so as some of these smaller companies would never qualify for some of these things that we do, but where we can, we try to bring in new vendors.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then there is a slide on, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna, maybe you can comment on, what we talked about the other day, the sole source nature of lab reagent contract.
Sure. Yeah. So, well, you specifically mentioned the lab. If the lab has a specific piece of equipment, the manufacturer of that equipment often specifies that you may only use our products for it. And in those cases, whether we have a contract, we may or may not have usually we do. We have a contract if it's a piece of equipment, and those reagents or whatever is needed for that equipment, they are negotiated by contract, and then those would be sole source. Well, it's technically not a sole source because we have a contract in place already. But if we are, where the sole source might come in is if we have one of those equipment already and we need a second one, then we're going to sole source because we already have that equipment. The lab is already set up to use that particular piece of equipment, so we would probably just use the same one. We have many of our contracts, if they are subrecipients, the grantor has approved specific suppliers or specific contractors. We have many sole source contracts that way. We buy vehicles off of the state contract, which is well, obviously the state contract, as I just said. I don't know if there was something else that you had mentioned. You said quite a bit in there. So
No, I just as you go through it, some examples, and when you get to go forward to your next thing, what are some of those things that we go out to bid for? Is it paper? Is it pens? Is it?
Yeah. Okay.
Because not everybody knows the purchasing process in the state is more complicated than most, I think.
So right now we are about, tomorrow I will issue an RFP for our website update. I think we are calling it. That'll go out tomorrow. There is an RFP in the works for a mobile health vehicle. That's two. There's another one that is escaping me because it hasn't come to me yet, but I know it's in the works. As far as bids, Diane will do bids for Narcan, for example, or other medications. Those are the RFP that's coming to mind. Obviously, anything, I shouldn't say obvious, if it's over 100,000. Those GPO contracts, those group purchasing organization contracts, NASPO, Omnia Partners. So a lot of those are done. They're not technically sole source because those contracts are already competed, but we're able to use them as a partner of that GPO.
Really quick, Councilwoman Gallo has a comment or question. She's joining us online. If we could pause for just a moment.
My question is, when we're looking at vendors, are we looking at, and sometimes it might be a little bit more, but local vendors as opposed to vendors that are outside of the county, et cetera, because their pay, et cetera, gets also used within the city. So was just wondering when do you take that into consideration when you're looking at bids? Do you look to kind of keep it within the city combines to keep the money within the city, if that makes any sense?
Sure, makes sense. Actually, so there's 2 points to that. One of them is in the vendor slide separately. In this case, goods are not necessarily, supplies or equipment, they won't necessarily be local. They're just simply going to be where the vendors are. And we have, I think, about 33, 34 states, vendors in 35 states in any given fiscal year, and they're supplying a variety of things. The services side, which I'll go to the next slide. I think if I finish that, they're going to compare. It's going to come to me. I'm going to approve it, and then they're going to enter the contract request. So for the formal bids of services, part of my process is it begins the same way. There's somebody. We'll use Jennifer. Jennifer has the website website update to me. This was canceled due to funding loss earlier. That was last year, or was that this year? I'm not even sure when that was. And so, but there's new funding available for it, so it's going to be issued tomorrow. When I have an RFP, I specifically identify, I do not use NGIM. I Google search and identify suppliers that are out there doing it. I always type Las Vegas or Southern Nevada, always. And so when I am releasing an RFP, I may have 30, 40, 50, 80, 100 contractors that I am specifically emailing the RFP to. It is open competition, so obviously anyone can bid, but when I'm searching for people, I don't particularly search for, California. An example, a separate case of that were when we did an RFP for the auditors, even though we weren't required to, because NRS 332115B allows us for professional services to not formally compete, but we did. We issued an RFP for it, and we went outside. I think the neighboring states, I think Forbes is California. Came from Arizona, okay. So
Chair?
then we might open it up.
Can you please emphasize why you don't use NGIN? Because the city of Las Vegas does. So you're digressing from what is standard held procedure. So if you could explain why.
Yeah, I personally don't care for NGIM. There's one of the things that I don't like about it is that you have to register for it. I personally believe if you are a supplier and you want to respond to this RFP, you email us. There are processes to ask questions via email, submit your proposal via email, and that's the way we go. You don't have to register to join NGIM. NGIM is set up so that when a supplier registers, they identify who they are. And so we literally, for goods, I understand it. It's an easy process if you're going to buy Narcan. It's just a very specific, very simple product. For services, that's a little different. So I'd like to treat it a little differently. But what I was getting to with the suppliers in NGIM, I am, as the procurement specialist at Southern Nevada Health District, a supplier in NGIM. I supply nothing. I regularly get emails because I have said I'm a supplier. I did that so that I could see the bids that are out there. When Diane prepares a bid and releases that bid, she selects the categories that she wants it to go to. It will literally go to 1,500, 2,000 companies. On the Narcan, since we mentioned it already, one of the companies that it went to was a construction company. Construction company is not selling Narcan. So to me, it's just, I don't like the fact that you have to register to see the bid. I think you just email me according to our RFP and you can respond via email. And I get to choose the local vendors rather than the ones that you can identify. And it is advertised as well, but that's why personally.
Chair, if I may. So I did a little procurement stuff when I was at the RTC, but I'm not a pro. But the thing that I would be concerned about is exposure for the health district. If you are using a process that is not standard procedure, I'm going to ask if you have a procedure where you are keeping track of all of the contacts that people email you about, so that if anybody comes back and says, I sent my email and he didn't, and it's not fair, that you have a process in place. So talk to us about that.
You bet I do. My process is very, very simple. I do it the same way all the time. And the records that I keep, I do this. So, if somebody emails me, I will respond to them. I have their email saved. If they respond to my email, I save that email. And so then at the last email, I have all my communications saved. My folders are all the same. We had I think it was a HRSA audit one day that I had to be a part of. And she said, I would like to see this document, this document. It's right here, right here, right here. Yeah, my process is very clean. InGym is just, I don't think it's suited to like services in particular. I like to have more control over it. I do not, regularly you will have people call, I will have people call me for an RFP. I will not answer them because I do not want to talk to you. You email me and that way I can control the communication. I know who I'm telling what to. It happens regularly. I've been doing this for a while. My process is down and I'm very comfortable with it. And InGym is just, it's kind of wonky to me. Sorry, InGym. It's just kind of wonky to me. I don't think it's the best. I don't like the idea that a construction company identified themselves as not technically, but they sell Narcan. That's nonsense, right? I'm emailing 50 or 60 or 80 contractors an RFP. I've done my due diligence to make sure that I'm identifying even though it's posted, it's advertised. I'm still making an effort to get it out in the community.
So I just wanted to follow up with that, Mr. Chair, with Councilwoman Armstrong's comments, because purchasing is complicated in the state as a whole. And the purchasing consortium meets on a regular basis, and I believe you guys are part of that purchasing consortium, correct?
I do not attend. I can't answer that.
Is there a reason why? I would be curious because that's where the state contracts come in. That's where everybody knows what everybody has.
Well, I'm not to interrupt.
Maybe it's not you, it's somebody else that goes from the health district.
I don't believe that Diane attends those either. But the state contracts are on the state website. So I've looked at them last week for a contract to
I know, but sometimes it's about being in person, talking to other people, what they're doing, right? There's a couple mobile vans that people are already working with out there, but maybe it doesn't meet our criteria, but maybe that's still, they can customize. I just think in purchasing, it's always helpful to hear and see in person what other people are doing. And the purchasing consortium does vet a lot of those national organizations, which the InGym tends to get when they come. But that's the issue for me, is that purchasing consortium try to avoid a lot of problems. Medical specifically has a lot of exemptions. They have a lot of things that they don't have to do, because here's the thing: if we gotta have this product tomorrow, then we have the ability to go do that, and that's within the state statute. So I would just say it's beneficial to go to those purchasing consortiums, because they talk about future legislation, they talk about where they're seeing angst, they talk about maybe the companies that promised the world and didn't deliver, and so that you don't get into that same situation. So, and they also talk about things like outreach to the local businesses. They talk to the state economic development. What venues, what sectors are we missing so that we don't have to buy from, Rhode Island or wherever, right, this particular product. So there's a lot of value to sitting around with a whole bunch of purchasing persons because it kind of funnels through the many different, purchasing is, in my mind, is the hub of any organization. And so at Clark County, purchasing impacts 38 different departments every single day, all day, no matter what they do. And just because the red pen from vendor AYZ is 2 cents cheaper doesn't mean that it's going to work 2 days longer than the red pen that I could have paid 2 cents more. I too have a little bit of purchasing, but I just, it's beneficial, I think, to know what else is going on, what people are hearing, and it, for us, somewhat takes it out of and I get it. I don't like all of those having to register to belong to this one, to get a bid, and, all of those things. It's so crazy because national companies compete 90% of the time instead of the locals, but the state also has a local procurement organization where if they knew that we had all these opportunities, they could partner. I always encourage the little guys to partner with the big guys so that they can build their capacity. So food for thought.
Thanks for the comment. Just briefly, there we go. Okay. We can always improve our operations. And so all the input here is going to help us get better. I really like the fact that we're not in the purchasing consortium, but need to be there in person to learn from others. It's true that, other organizations do have procurement strategies that focus on being local, and it's embedded into their charters, et cetera, as a part of their mission. So it is true that procurement is the heart of an organization. They have goods and services, contracts moving through. And so we're in learning mode, and we're going to continue to try and improve this as a part of our operations.
I don't want you to take it as a criticism. I'm just a value added, right? Opportunity, state health participates in those, so value added.
So I don't know if I finished with that slide. So as far as I said my process is very set. I'm the sole person communicating. When I do reach out, I should have mentioned that I even do reach out to Nevada Emerging Small Businesses. I access their directory, make sure that they are also included in those emails that I send out. I arrange the pre-bid conferences such as Cordy Construction attended for the lab remodel. I am the sole point of contact for communications, reviewing all bids to make sure they're responsive. Just for responsiveness, I generally, as the purchasing person, I do not like the idea of rejecting a bid. If it is a good bid, I will make every effort to cure so that I'm not rejecting. There are certain things that suppliers tend to do regularly that they will all miss. For example, acknowledging addenda. So I say, you didn't acknowledge addenda. Can you please acknowledge addenda? Yes, thank you, and they'll return it. So if it's something that can be cured, then I give them the chance to do it. I don't want to reject bids. If I reject it, it literally could be the best bid. I would like the departments to reject them. I'd like the departments to evaluate them in the process. And if it's, as I said, if it's the best one, then we want to get it. I do oversee the evaluation process, make sure there are no issues, make sure that scores don't all agree. Comments don't match, to make sure that it was independent, to make sure that there are no conflicts there. And then when it's, I provide the results to the departments and to the bidders, and direct them to enter their contract request. One of the things that not on the slide.
Can I ask one last question at legal? There are certain things that you can't do in purchasing that you have to kick out the bid, right? If they didn't sign this, if they didn't sign that, right?
That's correct.
I don't want the message to be that, yeah, we bend over so much and it's that it sounds like a bad policy, but I'm sure that's not what he's intending to tell me. But you, the legalese, you know that 332 is very specific about things that you can't do. And if people are doing the same thing all the time, then we need to rein them in and give them a class on how to do it, because things such as addendums, change orders, that makes or break the price of a product. Anybody can come in and lowball the bid and then do 50 different change orders, say, oh, I missed the addendum, I'm not gonna do it because now their bid's way off. So I know you're gonna tell me that there are certain things that we can't, and we really try to keep that consistent, right? Because at the county, we've done business with contractor A, and they didn't sign the paperwork. Guess what? It gets rejected. It publicly gets rejected because that's the law. I'm sorry that you made a mistake. I'm sorry that you didn't do that. So sorry, right? So I know you're going to tell me that we're a little more stringent, right?
And I think what Kevin is trying to express with his commentary that if someone doesn't sign the addendum, he is making sure that he's documenting. That's if I'm
Well,
correct.
to clarify, so I'm not talking about addenda as change orders. We have an RFP form, and one of the things that you have to do is make sure that you acknowledge that I issued an addenda for Q&A. You've seen the Q&A. We issued the RFP. There were 143 questions submitted in response to that RFP. We've answered them, and that Q&A is posted online on our website. You have to acknowledge that you've seen that Q&A. You're aware of it because it becomes a part of the RFP documents. That's what I was referring to. It wasn't change order.
But I'm seeing, Commissioner Becker will agree, we just had one where they didn't do any of those things and we just had to reject it.
They didn't do one thing.
One thing.
And it was rejected. And the reason that's good is because we can go back when they threaten to sue and say, well, we do this consistently every single time. So
Really, the bottom line is we have a process, we have law that we follow that governs our process. Clearly, we want to be consultative, supportive, and communicative in our process within the confines of what the rules and the law allow. And I think that's really the bottom line.
True.
We do what we can
True.
to facilitate meaningful quality bids to deliver the goods and services at the best price to meet the needs of our employees who are delivering services to the community, all the while making sure that we're fully compliant with the law and the regulations. And if we're doing that, we're doing everything we can, and it's incumbent upon the applicants or the bidders to do their part. So does that pretty much capture it?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. So I'll leave that. The next slide is the vendor registration process. We encourage departments to use established vendors when practical, because they have a history of successful past performance. They are required to do that. If there is a good or service that we don't have suppliers for, then they can go out and obtain, search for, identify those vendors. They will request their W-9, obviously, and provide them our documentation, request that they complete our documentation. So the department will make sure that the documentation for them is complete. They will provide it to purchasing. Purchasing performs the background checks for it, make sure that they are authorized to do business in their jurisdiction, make sure that they are not debarred or excluded, so that's SAM.gov and OIG checks. We perform that. We register them as a vendor, save that information to all of their documentation in our database, and we inform the department that they are registered to do business, that they can move forward. They're available. The next slide. So local and small and minority business. SNHD has about 2,300 active registered vendors. When we register a new vendor, we ask them to identify any diverse business classification that they are. They are to select all that apply. If they do not select local, and I see that they have an address in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, or Mesquite, I will select them as local, even if they don't do it. About a third of our POs issued each year are for local vendors in those 5 cities. So let's see. Make sure I've got everything there. So there's a couple of notes at the bottom of the slide that vendors are allowed to select or not select. They don't have to select a vendor. And these classifications are not mutually exclusive. So about 11% of the vendors have multiple classifications. That's the vendor process. Our local participation.
Yes, Councilwoman Summers Armstrong.
I would just suggest that we ensure that there is a succession plan for his processes. This seems detailed and singular, and we need to make sure that there is someone that is actively being trained to follow and learn this process so that we don't lose this knowledge in the future. I know we're a small agency, but he's got to have a backup, and they need to be well trained.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for Kevin or DJ? Thank you for giving us an awesome and fun look into the world of procurement. We appreciate it. It's fascinating. Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, I can say that from where I'm sitting.
Okay.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so next up, I'll call up Vivek Raman to give us an overview or update on West Nile virus surveillance activities.
Can you tell us everything we need to know about mosquitoes and West Nile in 9 minutes?
I can tell you that it's a lot more interesting than procurement.
All right, all right.
No.
9 minutes, 9 minutes, here we go. Just kidding.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Vivek Raman. I supervise the Public Accommodation Sanitation Program as well as the Mosquito Disease Surveillance Program. I appreciate the opportunity to give this update on West Nile. So as expected around this time of year, we do see West Nile start popping up in mosquitoes, and it's created some interest in our media to get public health information out. And so just as a brief update in terms of what our objectives are. So first and foremost is we want to do routine surveillance April through October to determine the type of mosquitoes we have, the abundance of those mosquitoes, and what that disease status would be. We work with counterparts to notify when we do find problems at parks, at storm drains, stagnant swimming pools. We notify them about these issues so that they can use their processes to remediate them. A lot of what we do is community education on breeding, biting, and disease prevention as well. And one of the challenges, as we've talked about, is that there is no coordinated mosquito abatement across Clark County. But one of the more important elements of the program as well is to collaborate with partners to advance regional understanding of what is happening in Southern Nevada, because we are not on an island when it comes to mosquito disease. So this map represents our surveillance efforts so far this year. Huge thanks to our informatics team that puts this up on our website. We've done this as a tool for the general public so they can see where we've been setting traps, what those disease results are, and just to educate them as well in terms of what's happening in their community. But we have several different types of locations we trap at, many of those being routine sentinel sites, be it wash channels, golf courses, parks, bird preserves. A lot of citizen complaints come in, which is great. That's the engagement we want from our community, particularly with Aedes aegypti, which is a very aggressive urban mosquito that we've been identified for the last 6-7 years in our valley. And then we do provide this updated map. So that's really the front facing of our surveillance efforts. So when it comes to disease transmission, for those that don't know, West Nile is actually a disease that affects birds. And you have mosquitoes that then pick it up when they bite birds, feed on them, and then they can pass it on to people. And so most people that get West Nile won't even know it. And so when we do have cases of West Nile, it's typically those that are very sick because it affects the central nervous system. So just some historical background, 2024 was really a benchmark year for West Nile in our community recently, where we actually had 26 human cases. And so those are people that presented for medical treatment that were fairly sick. But you'll see that year, we also had about 15% of our mosquitoes were positive for West Nile. So as we would expect after a spike like that, then West Nile pretty much goes away. And so this year we have seen about 2% of our mosquitoes come back positive.
Excuse me. Can I ask you a quick
Of
question?
course.
So just as the doctor said, how do they test for that? And secondly, what are some of the symptoms?
So West Nile is tested through blood at your doctor's office. And so, for example, in 2024, we started observing West Nile very early in our mosquitoes in May. And so we worked with our Office of Disease Surveillance to put out a health alert network to physicians so that they could pay attention for when patients came in with symptoms. Most symptoms are flu-like, a very mild rash, fever, and they'll self-resolve within a couple days. But because it does affect central nervous system, you can see things like coma, paralysis, stupor, disorientation, trouble walking, trouble talking. And so that's when people will go in. And so, of course, as you spoke about underdiagnosed or undiagnosed, and West Nile is one of those diseases, absolutely, that is very underdiagnosed in this country, primarily because most people just get sick and then deal with it at home. And it's those that are very ill that go seek treatment. So just to put it in some...
So I have to ask, so what's the treatment?
So treatment is just supportive therapy.
Just watch them.
Yeah, and just try to handle any secondary symptoms that may show up, secondary infections, things like that.
Thank you.
So just to put it in some visual perspective, 2 years ago, week 29, we already had 24 of our human cases reported. So a very early onset of West Nile. Last year, we didn't have any mosquitoes or people reported at this time. And then this year, we are at 1 human case and just now starting to see mosquitoes. So putting it in perspective, this year has been fairly mild so far. However, we really don't know where we're going to go in terms of the rest of this year. Informatics, again, put out a very useful map just showing zip code distribution. So you can see it's not just in one part of the valley, but it does, because it is a bird disease all throughout the community. And so when we talk about regional, Arizona has 55 human cases of West Nile at this point. So they're continually dealing with high numbers of West Nile. We have had just the one, but it's important to know what is happening in the community. And then, of course, with Aedes aegypti, the very aggressive urban biters, this year we've had about 200 mosquito complaints. Again, not a lot of Aedes aegypti trapped, but they do push for a lot of calls for service for surveillance in backyards. And just lastly, the team we have, that's the EH team, but we cannot do this work without the public health lab, who turns around results in a matter of a week. Our informatics teams put out some arbovirus weekly reports that go up on our website for the community, and then our Office of Communications that really help push prevention messaging. That is all I have. Any other questions?
Thank you, Vivek. Any questions for?
Just a comment, because one of our employees had gotten bitten by a mosquito. I called Dr. Lockett. Can you share, because she had a severe reaction, like she was hospitalized and had swollen like her arm 5 times its size. It was insane. But you knew what it was, Dr. Lockett. Do you remember that?
I do not.
So what I will say very quickly is that a lot of people have very strong immune responses to mosquitoes. In particular, Aedes aegypti is something that is new to our community. People really haven't been bit with that kind of mosquito. And so, the saliva that they put into the body and kind of the reaction that people have to that. I've seen photos called Skeeter syndrome where they just, have a massive reaction to mosquito bites. So yeah, people notice because of those reasons and then call the health district for surveillance.
That's what it was. It was an unusual name that you just mentioned in Dr. Lockett. That's what he said. Thank you.
May I ask a question? We don't have a regional mosquito thing, and when the mosquitoes are bad, every legislator wants to do it, right? But then no one ever follows through with it. But I do think there were some things that we talked about that local governments could do, maybe spraying the walls. And did we ever do any of that?
We never had the support to move forward with that.
Okay.
You did do some work with the county at the wetlands with some level of success.
Correct. So unincorporated Clark County did some walls treatment at at the wetlands park, and we did some follow-up to see how that was effective. And we did see it was managing mosquito populations at a better level than not doing walls. But none of that was statistically proven, which is always what you want to have, some kind of, benchmark to show that it's not just, bad weather that, bugger to trap. But the point being is, yes, thank you for that point.
So I think really what it boils down to is, like Commissioner Kirkpatrick said, it happens once a year. Everybody is upset because it's a nuisance. Not only is it a potential public health problem for people to get ill and suffer, it's just a nuisance. And then, so we have equipment, we have know-how, we have data, we have expertise, we have regional elements, we have all the raw ingredients of a regional abatement program. What's missing is the will and the connectivity to move it forward. So maybe someday, right? That would be nice for our community to have that unified effort where we all are pedaling together proactively, because from what I've learned from VVEC over the years is it's the proactive work that you do pre-season that is proven to mitigate the exposure and the subsequent public health problems that are in our community. So I think we have all the raw ingredients. We just need to make it happen is really from my understanding. So any other comments or questions? Thank you so very much for your work and dedication.
That's it from us.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lockett. Now we'll go to, so item 12, informational items. These are reports that are provided each month to as part of our agenda. And then lastly, well, not quite lastly, but number 13, second public comment, a period devoted to comments by the general public, if any, about matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction. So comments will be limited to 2 minutes. I'll open it up for anyone in the audience that would like to speak on items that were not on our agenda today for action, but items that you would like to have brought forward to the board. Seeing no one coming forward for public comment, do we have any written comments or anyone online?
No, there's not.
Okay, so thank you for that. We will close the second public comment. At this time, we will go to item number 14. We'll go into closed session. Go into closed session pursuant to NRS 241.0154C as amended by AB 52/2025 to receive information from Health District's attorney regarding potential existing litigation involving a matter over which the board of health has supervision, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power, and to deliberate on the matter and direct staff accordingly. So we have 3 board members that have joined us virtually. There is a separate link that you need to disconnect from this link and join on the closed session link that Andrea has provided. And we'll ask the audience if you'll be excused. We're grateful that you were here today for our meeting. And at this time, we will go into closed session with our board.
Oh, she left.